Our country is in serious trouble. We don't have victories anymore. We used to have victories.
US-backed forces in Syria have declared victory over the so-called caliphate. After months of fighting, Islamic State has lost its final outpost in the town of Baghouz.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. When was the last time anybody saw us beating, let's say, China in a trade deal? They kill us. I beat China all the time. All the time.
China reports its slowest growth rate for nearly 3 decades.
The trade war with America.
A substantial phase 1 deal, a currency pledge on transparency, up to $50 billion in purchases of agriculture.
Our gross domestic product, a sign of strength, right? But not for us. It was below zero because there are no jobs, because China has our jobs. And people are saying, what's going on? I just want a job. Just get me a job. I don't need the rhetoric. I want a job.
Americans are so confident in the economy, they are quitting their jobs at a record rate. Workers feel so good about the economy, they're willing to leave one company for another.
Median wages broke a record in 2019, the highest recorded since they began tracking it. The poverty rate, that hit an all-time low as well. And income was going up across the board, increasing 7% from the year prior to more than $68,700 from $64,324. That's a $4,000 raise, real money to real people.
And it only makes common sense. It only makes common sense. I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me.
The agency says it's also making progress building President Donald Trump's wall along the southern border with Mexico. The acting secretary says more than 180 miles of new border wall has been built.
Iran is going to take over the Middle East. Think of it. Iran is taking over Iraq. And they're taking it over big league.
Happened earlier tonight. The Pentagon says President Trump ordered the strike to kill General Qasem Soleimani, who led Iran's elite Quds force.
And I love the military, and I want to have the strongest military that we've ever had. We have wounded soldiers who I love. They're great.
President Donald Trump says he's taking a first step toward improving health care for veterans. He's signing off on a bill that ensures those who served can see doctors outside the Veterans Affairs medical system. It's an issue the president highlighted often on the campaign trail.
Our country needs a truly great leader. And we need a truly great leader now. You're right.
June 16th, 2015. After decades of watching and getting fed up with what was happening to our country, President Trump decided to come down that golden escalator and do something about it. He didn't need the job or the money. He wasn't beholden to any big donors or foreign nations. He lived the American dream. He wanted it for others, but he saw it slipping away. America was getting ripped off. Politicians for years would make promises, but no follow-through. Innovation was stifled under mountains of regulations. America was losing its strength, while the political class in Washington got stronger, setting rules for others that they themselves never followed. Government was failing at its most basic obligations, like sovereignty, securing borders, and promoting America's interests at home and abroad. Instead, government was telling Americans what bathroom to use, wielding federal agencies against political opponents, while faceless bureaucrats were getting more and more control over your life. America, we were told, had to be apologized for. Gun-toting, Bible-believing, energy-producing Americans were always to blame, but never the out-of-touch swamp dwellers who were never held accountable for their own failures. They became so disconnected from America's founding principles, they didn't even recognize that a billionaire from Queens becoming president was exactly what the founders had in mind. Let's explore.
Why didn't he do it 4 years ago? Why didn't you do that 4 years ago, even less than that? Why didn't you? You were vice president. You keep talking about all these things you're going to do, and you're going to do this, but you were there just a short time ago, and you guys did nothing.
We did.
You know, Joe, I ran because of you. I ran because of Barack Obama, because you did a poor job. If I thought you did a good job, I would have never run. I would have never run. I ran because of you. I'm looking at you now. You're a politician. I ran because of you.
Americans were growing tired of career politicians, a phony, corrupt political class who always knew better, but everything they touched turned into a disaster. It's easy to figure out why. They never had the interests of the country at heart.
Well, you need somebody, because politicians are all talk, no action.
Ain't that the truth? For 47 years, Joe Biden has been all talk. The only action was for himself and his family, while H was holding 10 for the big guy in China, Russia, Ukraine, Iraq, Romania, Kazakhstan, the Virgin Islands, and God knows where else.
I went to the big guys for the money. I was ready to prostitute myself in the manner in which I talk about it. But what happened was they said, come back when you're 40, son.
He came back all right. It's called pay to play. Whether it was a $100,000 retainer for Hunter from MBNA, while Joe secured changes beneficial to the credit card industry, or whether it was James magically landing a $1.5 billion project for affordable housing in Iraq, or $3.5 million wire transfers from communist apparatchiks in Moscow, or 10% equity from front energy companies in China, or $83,000 a month so corrupt oligarchs could keep fracking in Ukraine. But always half went to pop.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
You think that everything that happened was kosher?
You know there's not one single bit of evidence, not one little tiny bit, to suggest anything done was wrong.
Tell that to the laptop from hell. But enough about Joe. We know exactly who he is. He's been running for president for 3 decades and profiting off of his public office in the swamp for 47 years. He's never delivered for average Americans, and he never will. But who is Donald Trump? A dreamer, a builder, a doer, a risk taker, an outsider, a street fighter, a deal maker, a boss, a dad. Everyone knew Donald Trump, and everyone wanted to be like Donald Trump.
Trying to scrape up a down payment for a little fixer-upper in your neighborhood? Take a look at my next guest. There's a report around Wall Street that this is what he has in mind. This is Donald Trump, 33 years old. He took his father's rather modest by current standards real estate empire in Brooklyn and expanded it considerably. He now has an apartment for sale in a new Trump building called the Trump Tower, going up on 5th Avenue. There it is.
Please welcome to the program the always interesting, dynamic Donald Trump. Donald!
Now listen, some people say that this is your entree into politics in some kind of office. What do you think? No, still no eyes for that?
I love what I do. I really enjoy what I do, and I think there's very little doubt that I will not be going into politics. I'm too controversial, you know that.
Well, also, you can't live on what the president makes.
You've learned, right, when you tell them what you think about when they do things you like or don't like? Or?
Well, they know that. And
very well. Well, you know the luck.
I've actually had great accolades because I have wonderful children. And the 3 are with me now, and I have 5, but the 3 are with me now in the business. And a lot of people have come up to me and said, you know, the thing I like most about you is what you've done with your children.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to Washington. This is the presidential suite of the most famous hotel in Washington, the Hay Adams.
Wow.
There's the White House.
This is the first time I've ever seen the White House.
Isn't that amazing? I was born in Brooklyn, the same place where Donald Trump's family comes from. His father and my grandfather were builders together in Brooklyn. Yeah. Even when he was much younger, you knew that he was going to go places.
And it can be done. If the ball's carried correctly, it can be done.
Yeah, but if you want something done right.
Do it yourself.
Here is the book. It's Trump, the Art of the Deal, and this is Donald Trump. Donald, thank you very much for coming in.
Mr. Trump, what's left in your life? You're 33 years old. You're worth all this money. You say you didn't say that you want to be worth $1 billion.
No, I really don't. I just want to keep busy and keep active and be interested in what I do. And that's all there is to life as far as I'm concerned. I really am not looking to make tremendous amounts of money. I'm looking to enjoy my life. And if that happens to go with it, that's fabulous.
Though they lie about him now, for decades the political class recognized Donald Trump's talent. In 1992, Bill Clinton's presidential campaign strategists identified their candidate's central problem as, quote, rooted in Clinton's essential political nature. We have probed the whole issue of trust and honesty, and at the center is the belief that Bill Clinton is a typical politician, they said. Hillary was worse. Quote, people think of her as being in the race for herself and as going for the power. They weren't wrong. The memo continued, quote, people believe change can only be brought about by a leader who lacks strings and who is strong enough to challenge powerful interests. The solution? Be like Trump. Challenge people, engage them, and be unafraid and willing to brave the fire. The Clintons would end up learning that lesson the hard way, but you can't say no one tried to warn them. If James Carville recognized it, Barack Obama scoffed at it. In an article he co-wrote at Harvard Law School in 1991, Obama said the average American has a, quote, unfounded optimism, which he described as, quote, I may not be Donald Trump now, but just you wait. If I don't make it, my children will. Was hope just a meaningless word he used to get elected?
No miracle is coming.
It was precisely the failings of the political class, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Bidens, that provoked President Trump to run in the first place.
And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally, because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country, how we're really making other people live like kings and we're not.
We need somebody that literally will take this country and make it great again. We can do that. And I will tell you, I love my life. I have a wonderful family. They're saying, Dad, you're going to do something that's going to be so tough.
No one had any idea. Democrats, the media, and the Washington establishment never accepted our votes and America's choice in 2016. Instead, they launched an all-out war against President Trump and his family. They spied, leaked, and conspired, and even impeached him for what Joe Biden did. None of it worked, because President Trump is that leader, the one who lacks strings and is strong enough to challenge powerful interests. He fights for the common man with common sense.
For the first time in a long time, we have a president who has called out Washington's hypocrisy, and they hate him for it. Dad, people attack you for being unconventional, but I love you for being real, and I respect you for being effective.
And that effectiveness is history-making.
Under President Trump, here's what would happen.
The unemployment rate, the lowest since December 1969.
New GDP numbers show the U.S. economy grew by 4.1%.
President Trump outlined a plan today to ensure America's dominance in space, he said. He has directed the Pentagon to establish a new branch of the military, a Space Force.
Let me start by thanking you. Thanking you for remaining committed to the country's 101 historically black colleges and universities. Since 2017, every year our budgets have increased, but not just financially, but the true support of our institutions.
It is my profound honor to be the first president in history to attend the March for Life.
Israel and the United States are about to celebrate a historic transition. The U.S. Embassy in Israel.
it would seem as if a diplomatic breakthrough has happened. Israel and the United Arab Emirates have normalized ties.
President Donald Trump just announcing that Sudan will start to normalize ties with Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu is talking about the circle of peace throughout the Arab world. He's talking about expanding the circle of peace.
I'm free to hug my family. I'm free to live life. I'm free to start over.
I do solemnly swear
I, Amy Coney Barrett, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution.
We are expanding the circle of peace so rapidly with your leadership, Mr. President.
We have a choice to keep America the land of the free with great respect for the brave, a nation of free thinkers, inventors, pioneers with boundless opportunity and future triumphs ahead. Or will we throw it all away? Will we use central planning and communist China as an excuse to abandon our Constitution and inalienable rights? Will we cave to a destructive ideology that seeks to steal and destroy, one that only tears down and never builds up? Will we cower to intimidation and threats from Marxists and big tech censors and those who practice groupthink? Or we can take personal responsibility. We can chart our own paths. We can seize on the tremendous potential made possible by the gifts of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We can make America great again.